Bougie the Goat is here. Then we're ready to go. Kiki, what's up? Aiden, Felicia, appreciate you guys being here. So to start us off, let's just go through the Forex watch list this morning and we'll kind of run through everything. So top of the list this morning was Euro JPY. We liked this idea in the group chat. A lot of people had this on their list this morning looking for longs. We have a perfect market sentiment line here to start the day. We have EMAs in an uptrend. Yesterday, price action moved higher as well. So overall, this is pretty bullish. So naturally, you're just going to come in and try to identify long opportunities following that bullish bias. So when it pulls back to the 50 EMA here, we're going to look for D1 entries. We're going to look for A1 entries. If we pull up the 1 minute, I mean, you can read my notes and see that it's not there. But if you pull up the 1 minute, you're going to see we don't have any bullish divergence here that would signal to us that this is ready to move higher off the 1 minute 800 EMA, the dark blue line right here, which is also the 15 minute 50 EMA. So because we don't have that divergence set up, this can't be read as a D1 entry. However, you would then look to see, okay, could it be an A1 entry on the 15 minute? Here, if you look at the bar coming off the 21 EMA, which fits the A1 system, the bar that comes off the 21 EMA and crosses the 8 back above the 21, that happens, but the RSI is not in proper position. So right there, this is not an A1 entry. Some of the guys in the group, what they did was they read this as an A1, but they used the 1 minute pullback. So if I sync up this vertical line, after that A1 was there, even though it's not a proper A1, they used this retest of the 50 EMA on the 1 minute. Let me circle it. Right here. They used that as their entry spot because they're entering here on the 15 minute outside the 8 EMA with the 8 above the 21. They know that if it comes lower and breaks this previous structure point, they know that that would turn around and that would be where they want to be out of the trade. So you're looking at controlled risk of about 10 pips. If we sync this over to the other side here, you can see we stretch that out. So far on this trade, you just got about 21 pips. So just about 2R. But that's how this is kind of like a D1 and an A1, even though it's neither of those two exactly. But it's still using the knowledge that those two signals give us to come in and find a risk-reward setup this morning that here, as you can see, moves about 2R. In my opinion, not a great entry, not a great trade setup. However, still fits to what we look for. So I wanted to make sure we touched on this. Just not something that I was super interested in either. If we wanted to be really picky, you could say there's resistance here at the high of day that's in your way as well. You could see that's where it kind of broke, retested, and then moved off of. Also, it's Euro JPY. It's not one of my favorite pairs, but still a decent read here. So let's add some notes before we move on. No trade, however, if you use the 1 minute 50 EMA retest like a D1 after the half-assed A1 shift candle, let's add in here no A1 because RSI is not through L50, no D1 because there is no 1 minute divergence. Okay, right there. And then I said, if you use the 1 minute like a D1 and after the half-assed A1 shift candle, then you enter off the 8 with the 8 over the 21. So it should hold and rise using the 8 EMA as a barrier. That's what we use the 8 EMA for. So that's the notes I would put on this trade. So it's not a D1 or an A1, but still something to keep in mind, still something to mark up, still valuable lessons to be learned from this. So that's Euro JPY. If you look at CAD JPY, this was also on the list this morning for some people. I didn't have it on my list because, as you can see, it's pretty overbought today. Also, I know this pair is tough to trade. You can see it shifts down. The 8 EMA crosses under the red 21 EMA. So when it shifts down like that, it's going to be tougher for me to want to buy it to go long. So I didn't do anything with this so far today. I'm just watching this to see if it does want to come off that 50. CHF Jpy, market sentiment is bullish, EMAs are bullish, so you have that bullish bias, but this has been in the Asian range just up until about an hour ago. You can see it just breaks out here at about 7 o'clock. So like I said, an hour ago is when it finally gets out of that Asian range. Normally, for really good trades, we want to see it break the Asian range and then we trade it. Trading the first break of the Asian range is kind of tough. We have some markups that show that you can find great trades there, but we also have some markups that show trading the first break of the Asian range sometimes leads you to getting stuck in a pullback before the second break of the Asian range where it has its full move. So when we look over to James's trade on GBP CAD today, you'll see exactly that. But this is Chf Jpy, and that's why this did not make the list for me today. It just was in the Asian range. I see this bearish divergence forming on top. If we wanted to be picky, we could even go back into yesterday and draw it like this. See how that RSI is falling like that, right? Price action, if you mark that up, is rising. So you've got bearish divergence. It's in the Asian range. A couple of things right there that tell me be careful trading this. Euro GBP, if we go to the next pair, big move today. Almost double ADR. ADR is only 40 pips. It's moved almost 80 today. This comes as we've seen a lot of the GBP pairs move down. We're going to get into the GBP pairs in a second. That's where you'll see James's trade today on GCAD. All of the GBP pairs falling, which is naturally pushing Euro GBP higher. So there was really nothing to do with this since I've been awake, since I've been at the desk today. We talked about Euro JPY, so let's go into Euro AUD. Euro AUD had a read yesterday. We had a D1 idea coming off the 50, off the 200, and off the 800 here at about 9 o'clock, 8:45, 9 o'clock yesterday. I'm going to show you that markup in a little bit. That move ends up carrying lower, as you can see, through the Asian session before once we get into the London session, it turns around and comes back up to that same price point we were looking for shorts yesterday. So naturally, you would think, okay, well, then we could come in and look for shorts today. But if you look at what it's done today, it's now gone through the EMAs, so you'd be trading back towards the 21, towards the 50, towards the 200. It's got a swapping market sentiment line, and it's maxed out its average daily range already. So you'd be trading within that max ADR. And normally, when it does that, you can find trades, but it also can sit sideways at this ADR level. So I'm not 100% sold that we would be looking for good shorts here off that 800 EMA again on Euro AUD. Eurocad, same kind of move here. You can see yesterday around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, a D1 entry to the downside. We were watching this closely yesterday. This on Eurocad fed my bias on GBP CAD. This Eurocad move looks very similar to this Euro AUD move, as you can see. And I'll show you the Euro AUD markups when we get into the rest of the stuff here. This morning, I'm watching Euro USD. You can see this moves down overnight, down yesterday. So we break the divergence set overnight. Divergence was set here in the Asian range, as you can see, from yesterday's RSI low to the Asian range RSI low, because that would have been the RSI low today. It breaks that, retests it, and now it's gotten back above it. If this would have held underneath it, I would have stayed short bias and said we could be looking for shorts today and possibly finding an entry. But now that it's shifted back up, 8 and 21 EMAs crossed back up, and this broke the divergence line, I'm not sure what this wants to do. This could sit sideways in this support zone. This support zone was drawn from this pin at yesterday's low. It could come back and move lower since market sentiment wants to send this lower today, or since it bodied the 50, it could come up to the 200. So it's in a very indecisive place right now, and that's why I'm not doing anything with it. Just watching it. Everybody with me so far? Let me see if I have any questions. Good morning, Simon. Lindsay, what's up? Michael, Randy, what's up? What's up? What's up? Yep, we're getting there. We're moving down the list here. Euro NZD, as you can see, maxed out average daily range. By the time I was at the desk this morning, it touched both green lines. 134.28 is the ADR. Not doing anything with this once it maxed out average daily range. Just going to look for better pairs. GBP AUD, perfect market sentiment. So this is good now that it's broken the Asian range to put this on the watch list as we head into the rest of the trading day. Because again, when we see the first break of the Asian range, we don't want to trade from up here. For high probability trades, we don't want to trade from inside the Asian range for that first break, because normally it doesn't just break and run. It normally breaks and retests and then makes the full move to the downside here. So right now, it'll come on the watch list. But up until this point, it hasn't been on the watch list at all because it was in the Asian range. And there's been better pairs like Euro USD and Euro JPY. They looked a little bit better. So GBP AUD can make the list now, and we'll see what it does now that it's downshifted here. See how the 8 crossed under the 21? Maybe we get a pullback to the 21, and that's where we get the move lower. We get an A1 entry, something like that. So we'll keep an eye on this. This is now on the watch list. GBP NZD is ugly today. I see, Randy, you're asking questions about this in the chat. GN today is pretty ugly. If you look, market sentiment line is sitting in reset. Buy zone, sell zone, back into the buy zone, and price action looks like it's in reset as well. We have yesterday's high kind of forming the resistance level that it couldn't break above and stay above. So for me, for right now, this has nothing for us. There's way better setups today, Randy. Way better setups for us to read. Okay. There's a 3 candle formation on Euro USD. Yes, but it is in an upshift. Okay, so this is an important note. Whenever you're trading A1 entries, I know, what's your name? Gurav. I know you've taken the courses, so I know you understand. when this is in an upshift, 8 EMA crossed above the 21 a few minutes ago, you can't have a 3-candle formation. It has to shift back down first. So it can look like a 3-candle formation, but it would really be your shift candle. The 2-candle and 3-candle formations, those only can come after the divergence or after the shift candle, okay? I hope that makes it clear for you. Hold on. Tika said, for Euro USD, the divergence is broken. Can you put your line below to say there's still a divergence or no? I wouldn't. You can do whatever you want. I do it this way. I read it left to right. This is where the divergence was set. The divergence was broken, and that's why I think we can use this resistance zone, excuse me, use this support zone now as resistance for it to move lower. It didn't just break the divergence line. It broke past the support at yesterday's low. So that's why I'm trading it or reading it the way that I'm reading it, okay? Gaurav's talking about the 1-hour time frame. Okay, let's take a look at Euro USD on the 1 hour really quick. So it's not off the 21 EMA right now, but I understand what you're looking at. Close, but not off the 21 yet. This big 3-candle formation is not something I would trade because it's so overextended. It would have such a large stop loss, but it does feed the short bias. You'd have like a 23, 25 pip stop, right? On this big 3-candle formation. Is this what you're talking about, Gaurav? Good. I'm glad you saw it that way, Randy. All right, so let's keep going. As Euro USD looks like it wants to try to shift down, we'll keep an eye on that. We talked about GN. Let's go to GCAD. So GCAD, James will come on. He'll talk about it. This is where I was looking at shorts yesterday at the 200. I also wanted to short it last night in the Asian session. I was telling him because I was watching it coil up last night right here. Right in here. Because I had my short bias already, as it started to hold the 21 with these pins here, I wanted to short it last night. But because I don't trade the Asian session, I just didn't put a position on. But that would have been a really nice trade as well. So strong bias here on GCAD. You can see it now touching ADR. So from yesterday, from my trade idea yesterday, we've seen it move about 156 pips. James is going to come on here in a few minutes and talk to us about his trade this morning on that. GBP CHF, nothing on the watch list today. Swapping market sentiment. You can see it touched ADR on both sides, so not going to do anything with that. Look at GU, holding the 8 EMA, just falling through ADR, catching momentum here as the GBP pairs fall lower. GJ, same thing, falling through the EMAs to the downside. Market sentiment is bullish, and it's maxed out average daily range. Excuse my throat today. Too many conflicting beliefs here, so nothing here on GJ. UCHF, we were bullish yesterday, pulled back at the end of the day yesterday. The bullish bias is still there today. It's a swapping market sentiment line, but I think this can come higher as Euro USD wants to come lower. And USD JPY still moving higher. It's crazy. We've been long biased on this pair for weeks. Look at this. Unbelievable rip from 109 to now almost 112 in not even 2 weeks. Strong move on USD JPY. So that's everything for this morning. Any questions on this? Any other thoughts, comments, concerns before we go into detail and pull James on the stream? Let me send him a text and get him ready too.